Part 1. Early Life and Foundations. Chapter 1. A Night of Stars in Smiljan. On a summer night in July 1856, the small village of Smiljan was shaken by thunder and pierced by flashes of lightning. The storm was violent, and yet, in the middle of its chaos, a fragile new life emerged. Nikola Tesla entered the world at the stroke of midnight, a symbolic hour when one day ends and another begins. The midwife, unsettled by the electric storm, muttered that this child would belong to darkness and turmoil. But Tesla's mother, with calm determination, answered differently. No, he will be a child of light. That single exchange became a metaphor that would echo throughout Tesla's life. His path would constantly swing between storm and brilliance, struggle and illumination. The atmosphere of his birth seemed to foreshadow his destiny, someone who would try to tame the storm itself, bringing lightning down from the skies into the service of humankind. The storm over Smiljan did more than rattle shutters. It etched a mood into the household that night. Tesla's mother, steady in the candle glow, watched shadows tremble along the plaster walls as thunder rolled like a drumbeat, announcing a difficult but meaningful arrival. The midwife, crossing herself between flashes, insisted the omen foretold a life of danger. Yet Kuka framed it as a promise of light. That gentle contradiction fear, beside resolve, came the lullaby of Tesla's origin story, a reminder that illumination is often born within noise, that serenity can coexist with voltage, and that a mind might grow calm precisely by listening to the storm. Later retellings of his birth would sound romantic, but they served a purpose in the family. They taught young Nikola to treat the frightening intensity of the world as material for understanding. If the sky could crack itself open and then close again in silence, perhaps the universe was not threatening but instructive. The lesson lingered. He would learn to breathe through the bursts, to study patterns in the chaos, and to ask what invisible order, what rhythm connected lightning to the dim, patient flame of a bedside candle. Subchapter 1.2. The Family That Shaped Him. Tesla's father, Milutin, was a stern but articulate Orthodox priest. He valued knowledge, discipline, and literature, often spending long evenings reading aloud or debating ideas. His sermons were said to be full of rhythm and authority, and this gift for language deeply influenced his son. Words mattered in Milutin's household. Clarity of speech was a sign of clarity of thought. His mother, Kuka, was never formally schooled, yet she possessed a rare inventive talent. She designed clever household tools and carried an immense memory, able to recite entire books and poems after hearing them only once. In a home without wealth or luxury, her ingenuity provided solutions that made daily life more efficient. Nikola would later credit her with the inventive spark that defined his life. This combination of strict intellectual structure from his father and unbounded creativity from his mother formed Tesla's dual nature. From Milutin came the love of logic and language. From Kuka came the gift of imagination and invention. It was this harmony between order and vision that nurtured the boy into a thinker who could dream vividly and then structure those dreams into practical designs. The family atmosphere was not easy. Discipline was demanded, and expectations were high. Yet the balance of stern authority and quiet inventiveness created a paradoxical environment, one where rules were unshakable, but imagination was free to bloom. It was in this paradox that Tesla's character was formed, disciplined yet dreamlike, grounded yet constantly reaching for the invisible. Subchapter 1.3 A Childhood of Sensitivity. From the earliest years, Nikola showed signs of being unlike other children. He was extraordinarily sensitive to sound, light, and even emotions. Small noises could feel unbearable. Flashes of light seemed almost too bright, and even the faintest touch or feeling was magnified. While this sensitivity made ordinary life challenging, it also granted him unusual perception. He would notice patterns, details, and connections invisible to those around him. At night, when the village fell silent and only the distant echo of storms or the soft hum of crickets remained, young Nikola's mind became restless with images. He later described seeing visions, living pictures that filled his imagination without effort. To others, these visions might have been overwhelming, but Tesla began to guide them, treating them as companions. Through them, he discovered how to visualize machines and inventions long before he touched a tool. Sensitivity, for Tesla, was not merely discomfort. It was instrumentation. Sounds arrived, layered, each texture distinct: the scrape of a chair, the sigh of wind in wooden beams, the small negotiations of rain in the roof tiles. Such awareness could overwhelm him, yet it also gave him a laboratory wherever he stood. He began to regulate his attention, almost like tuning a radio coil, narrowing the band to a single thread until it became intelligible. In moments of strain, he counted breaths, pictured a quiet river smoothing a stone, and the visions that once invaded became tools he could aim. This was the beginning of deliberate visualization. He discovered that if he rotated an image, slowly 1/4 turn at a time, the fear of it lessened and its structure revealed itself. A wheel stopped being a blur and turned into arcs. A mechanism ceased to be noise and became a sequence. He did not name it engineering. He called it seeing clearly. The habit hardened into method: sense, simplify, simulate. By the time he touched metal, the hardest work had already happened in silence. Subchapter 1.4 The Seeds of Imagination. Tesla's imaginative capacity set him apart in school and at home. While other children played with simple toys, Nikola created elaborate contraptions in his mind. He could picture wheels turning, gears fitting together, and streams of water driving motion. More than daydreams, these were experiments conducted entirely in thought. He once recalled that he could build a machine in his mind, test it for days, and if it failed, repair it without ever touching a piece of material. Only when the design worked perfectly in his imagination would he construct it physically, and remarkably, it would function exactly as expected. This method of mental engineering was born in his youth, nurtured by quiet nights under candlelight, where reality blurred with vision. The imaginative process for Tesla was as vivid as reality itself. He could smell the oil of imaginary machines, feel the vibration of phantom gears, and see sparks of light bursting from devices that existed only in his mind. His visions were not fantasies, but rehearsals. Every imagined invention was a kind of meditation, a rehearsal for the act of bringing it into being. In this way, his childhood imagination was not wasted energy, but the earliest form of engineering practice. Subchapter 1.5 Smiljan's Silent Influence. The landscape of Smiljan was both harsh and beautiful. Surrounded by mountains, fields, and rivers, the village lived in rhythm with nature. The nights were dark, unspoiled by artificial light, and the stars burned vividly above. For Tesla, this natural world was both playground and classroom. He studied the way rivers flowed, how light bent through glass, how animals moved with instinctive grace. It was in these silent observations that Tesla developed his sense of wonder. While others saw simple scenes, he felt as if the universe was whispering secrets to him. Each detail carried meaning, each pattern a clue to something greater. In Smiljan, far from the noise of cities, young Nikola learned to listen to storms, to stars, and to the hidden language of nature that would guide his scientific vision for the rest of his life. Smiljan's nights taught continuity. Stars wheeled across the sky predictably, and seasons rotated with quiet patience. The boy learned that nature's power was not only in violence, like thunder, but also in persistence, like rivers carving valleys over centuries. This patience entered his personality. Later, when experiments failed or devices broke, he returned to the lesson of Smiljan. Storms pass, but laws remain. Subchapter 1.6 A Brother's Shadow. Nikola was not the only child in the Tesla household. Among his siblings, his older brother Dane held a special place. Dane was admired for his brilliance and natural talent, and many in the family quietly expected him to become the one who would achieve greatness. He was the pride of the household, confident and capable, and young Nikola looked up to him with both admiration and envy. But tragedy struck when Dane died suddenly in an accident involving a horse, leaving the family devastated. For young Nikola, the loss was more than grief, became a wound that never fully healed. The tragedy created a complex emotional landscape. On one hand, Nikola felt the heavy weight of expectation fall on him after his brother's death. On the other, he struggled with the memory of always being seen as the second best. This shadow of comparison haunted him throughout his youth, pushing him to prove himself, to demonstrate that he too carried a spark of brilliance. Years later, Tesla admitted that this loss shaped his path. It gave him not only sorrow, but also determination. He began to see invention not as mere curiosity, but as a duty, something that might give meaning to the suffering and silence that had fallen over his family. In his private writings, he confessed that he felt marked by fate, chosen to continue a path that Dane could not finish. Every achievement carried both triumph and mourning, as though his genius was fueled by a promise never spoken aloud. Subchapter 1.7 Early Fascination with Nature. Long before Tesla touched electrical wires, his curiosity belonged to the natural world. He watched lightning storms from a distance, fascinated by how the sky could suddenly tear itself open and then fall silent. He noticed how water, flowing freely in rivers, could push against rocks and turn wheels. Even the behavior of insects, birds, and small animals caught his attention, as if every motion carried a hidden law waiting to be discovered. Tesla's experiments often arose from these observations. He created makeshift windmills with scraps of wood, allowing the wind to turn them and marveling at the invisible force that could be made visible in motion. He followed streams for hours, building tiny dams and spinning wheels that danced in the current. These were not idle games, but early explorations into the principles of energy conversion. He once attempted to fly by imitating birds, jumping from the roof with an umbrella in hand. The fall was painful and clumsy, but instead of discouraging him, it sparked deeper questions. Why could wings support a bird, but not a boy? What laws of nature separated success from failure? Each experiment, however reckless, was a stepping stone to greater insight. Tesla's fascination with nature taught him that mistakes were not the end of discovery, but its very beginning. Subchapter 1.8 The World of Books and Ideas. While nature fueled his imagination, books opened his mind to distant worlds and vast possibilities. Tesla devoured literature in multiple languages, reading works of philosophy, science, and poetry. He found particular inspiration in the writings of Mark Twain, whose vivid storytelling helped him through times of illness and weakness. Twain's words stirred his imagination and gave him strength, convincing him that ideas carried power equal to lightning itself. Tesla's father's library was another treasure. Though Milutin hoped his son might follow in his clerical footsteps, the sheer range of texts available, religious writings, classical philosophy, and scientific works gave Nikola a broader foundation. Late into the night, by dim light, he read passages that stirred both his intellect and his imagination. Books became for him a kind of second home, a place where his restless thoughts could find shape. This love of books also sharpened his memory. Like his mother, Tesla developed the ability to recall entire passages word for word. Later, this extraordinary memory would serve him as he stored equations, diagrams, and entire machine designs in his mind without ever writing them down. More importantly, the books planted in him a belief that knowledge was boundless. If a boy in a small village could hold entire libraries in his mind, perhaps he could also one day hold the energy of the world in his hands. Subchapter 1.9 First Experiments and Small Triumphs. Even as a boy, Tesla was not satisfied with only imagining. He wanted to test ideas. He created small water wheels in the nearby streams, observing how moving water could be transformed into circular motion. He tinkered with makeshift mechanical devices, sometimes cobbling together parts from household items. These crude experiments revealed a pattern. Tesla was less interested in play and more fascinated by discovery. One story tells of him designing a small turbine from wooden scraps, placing it in the current, and watching with delight as it spun endlessly. To his family, it was a child's amusement, but to Tesla, it was a glimpse of something greater, a sign that natural forces could be guided, captured, and multiplied. Not all his attempts succeeded. Many broke apart or failed to work as he intended. But Tesla treated failure as a kind of tutor. Each broken model taught him about balance, force, or design. Each burnt finger from a candle flame taught him about heat and energy. Rather than discouraging him, these failures deepened his determination. He felt that nature herself was testing him, hiding secrets that could be unlocked only by persistence. Subchapter 1.10 Dreams Beneath the Stars. At night, when the house grew quiet, Tesla often lay awake, staring at the star-filled sky. The vastness above him filled him with both awe and restlessness. The stars, distant and unreachable, reminded him that there was always more to learn, more to discover, more to attempt. In those quiet hours, he dreamed not of wealth or status, but of illumination, literally and figuratively. He wanted to bring light into darkness, to bridge the gap between human limitation and nature's boundless energy. Smiljan gave him silence, storms, rivers, and skies, all of which became his companions. But it also gave him a restless desire to go beyond. The boy who was called a child of light grew up gazing at the stars, believing that one day he might not only understand the secrets of the universe, but also share them with humanity. In these moments, his mind would wander far beyond his village. He pictured machines that could make light without fire, towers that could send energy invisibly across the earth, and inventions that could free people from endless labor. These were not idle fantasies, but visions that felt as real as the stars above. As he drifted to sleep beneath the glittering night, the young Nikola Tesla was already dreaming of a brighter future, one where imagination could shape reality and where humanity itself might live closer to the light. Chapter 2: The Path of Education. Subchapter 2.1: A Village Schoolboy. When Tesla first entered formal schooling in Smiljan, he was already different from the other children. Teachers quickly noticed his unusual memory and ability to solve problems faster than expected. While most students struggled with basic arithmetic, Tesla could perform calculations in his head, often surprising adults with the speed of his answers. He absorbed lessons like a sponge, repeating entire passages after hearing them once. But school life was not without challenges. His sensitivity, which had both blessed and troubled him since childhood, made the noise of classrooms overwhelming. He sometimes withdrew into himself, sketching small diagrams in the margins of his books. Still, he stood out, not only for brilliance, but for determination. He wanted to learn, and he wanted to learn everything. For his teachers, Nikola was both a marvel and a challenge. Some believed his talents should be nurtured, while others worried that his imagination distracted him from practical lessons. Yet, even as a small boy in a village classroom, Tesla carried within him the spark of curiosity that would one day light the world. Subchapter 2.2: Relocation to Gospic. Tesla's early schooling in Smiljan was only the beginning. His family soon recognized that he required broader education, and so he was sent to the nearby town of Gospic. For a boy who had grown up surrounded by mountains and rivers, the town was a world of activity, noise, and greater opportunity. In Gospic, Nikola was exposed to more advanced subjects, including mathematics and science. He quickly distinguished himself among classmates, showing a particular gift for numbers. His ability to perform complex calculations without pen or paper amazed teachers. He also began to study languages, soon mastering several with ease. However, the move also meant separation from the comfort of home. He missed the silence of Smiljan's nights, the clear skies, and the closeness of his family. Yet, this transition was necessary. Gospic provided him with the foundation for higher learning, opening the door to subjects that would eventually shape his destiny. Even at this stage, his imagination remained vivid. Teachers noted that while his answers were correct, his mind often wandered to ideas far beyond the classroom. In Gospic, Tesla began to discover not only knowledge, but also the restlessness of ambition. Subchapter 2.3: A Love for Mathematics. Mathematics quickly became Tesla's great passion. Numbers, for him, were not abstract symbols, but living entities. He saw beauty in their patterns, order in their sequences, and music in their rhythms. While other students struggled to memorize formulas, Nikola instinctively grasped the logic behind them. He could mentally manipulate numbers, as if they were pieces of a puzzle, moving them until solutions appeared naturally. His teachers were astonished. At times, they suspected him of cheating, unable to believe that a boy could calculate so quickly without aid. Yet Tesla's talent was genuine, born of an unusual mind that could see numbers not as obstacles but as companions. Mathematics, to him, was a language of nature, a secret code that explained rivers, stars, and storms. This love of mathematics also nurtured his confidence. For a boy often weighed down by sensitivity and the loss of his brother, numbers offered certainty. They did not change with mood or sorrow. They obeyed rules, predictable and eternal. In numbers, Tesla found not only intellectual joy, but also emotional refuge, a place where the chaos of the world could be tamed. Subchapter 2.4 Struggles with Health. Despite his brilliance, Tesla's path through education was marked by frequent struggles with health. From a young age, he was prone to illnesses, some of which left him bedridden for weeks. At times, his family feared for his life. Fevers, weakness, and exhaustion would strike suddenly, pulling him away from studies and play. But even in sickness, Tesla's mind remained active. While confined to bed, he entertained himself with mental exercises, running imaginary experiments in his mind, reading books, and reciting passages of poetry. He once recalled that during his darkest days of illness, the works of Mark Twain brought him such joy and laughter that they aided his recovery. Literature became both medicine and companion, proving that the mind could offer healing when the body faltered. These health struggles shaped Tesla in two ways. They gave him resilience and taught him to value the power of thought. If his body failed him, his mind became his refuge. Instead of surrendering to weakness, he strengthened his imagination, sharpening the very gift that would later set him apart from all others. Subchapter 2.5 The Spark of Inspiration. Education did not only give Tesla facts and formulas, it gave him sparks of inspiration. Each lesson, whether in mathematics, literature, or science, was a doorway to new questions. When he learned about electricity for the first time, he was mesmerized. The idea that invisible forces could flow through wires and create light or motion seemed almost magical. Tesla's early exposure to scientific principles opened his mind to the possibility that nature's forces could be harnessed for human use. He asked endless questions of his teachers, often beyond what the curriculum allowed. While some teachers encouraged his curiosity, others found it frustrating, worried that he was moving too far ahead. But for Tesla, there was no limit to what could be asked. In these formative years, he was not yet the inventor of alternating current or the visionary who dreamed of wireless power, but the seeds were planted. The curiosity that filled his childhood nights now found a direction. Education gave his imagination structure, turning vague dreams into focused goals, and showing him that knowledge was the true key to unlocking the universe. Subchapter 2.6 Discipline and Determination. Tesla's education was never easy. While his intellect carried him forward, he was often confronted with the rigid discipline of his schools. Teachers demanded memorization, strict obedience, and respect for authority. For a boy whose imagination often wandered far beyond the classroom walls, these rules sometimes felt suffocating. Yet Tesla adapted. He learned that discipline could serve as a tool rather than a prison. At home, his father reinforced this rigor. Milutin insisted that Nikola learn languages, read extensively, and maintain perfect handwriting. Hours of repetition and practice were expected, and failure was not tolerated. Though strict, this discipline instilled in Tesla a kind of endurance. He discovered that the mind could be trained like a muscle, strengthened by effort and sharpened by repetition. This blend of determination and self-control would later define his career. As an inventor, he would spend days and nights without sleep, working tirelessly on an idea. The seeds of that endurance were planted in school, where he learned to balance his restless imagination with the patience of method. Subchapter 2.7 The Obsession with Perfection. From an early stage, Tesla developed a near-obsessive pursuit of perfection. He was not satisfied with good enough. Every answer had to be precise, every drawing exact, every idea complete. This perfectionism sometimes slowed him down in school, but it also set him apart. His notebooks were filled with meticulous diagrams, lines straight as though drawn by instruments, words arranged in orderly fashion. This obsession extended beyond academics. He disliked disorder in any form. Messy handwriting, untidy rooms, even uneven patterns in daily life disturbed him. While others might overlook small imperfections, Tesla saw them as distractions. To him, clarity of thought demanded clarity in environment. Such habits foreshadowed his future as an inventor. Later in life, he would construct entire machines in his imagination, adjusting them again and again until they operated flawlessly before ever touching a tool. This mental precision, born from his youthful obsession with perfection, allowed him to avoid mistakes that others might have overlooked. For Tesla, perfection was not vanity, it was the only path to truth. Subchapter 2.8 Curiosity Beyond the Classroom. Tesla's appetite for knowledge could not be contained by textbooks alone. He asked questions that reached far beyond what teachers were prepared to answer. Why did the stars move in predictable patterns? How could lightning leap across the sky without wires? Why did magnets attract and repel with invisible force? At times, his teachers worried that his relentless questioning was a distraction. But to Tesla, curiosity was the essence of learning. He borrowed books beyond his age level, experimented with natural phenomena, and challenged explanations that seemed incomplete. He once shocked his teachers by proposing improvements to mechanical devices far more advanced than the school curriculum. This hunger for understanding also gave him confidence to think independently. Where others saw limits, Tesla saw possibilities. Education gave him the tools, but his curiosity gave him direction. He was not content to know only what others had discovered. He wanted to uncover what no one had yet imagined. Subchapter 2.9 The Turning Point of Ambition. During these formative years, Tesla experienced a powerful shift in his thinking. At first, education had been a duty, a responsibility placed upon him by family and teachers. But gradually, it transformed into ambition. He no longer studied merely to pass exams or to please his father. He studied because he wanted to uncover the secrets of the universe. This turning point came as he began to connect the lessons of mathematics and science to his own visions. He realized that numbers were not only abstract puzzles. They could describe the flow of water, the crackle of lightning, and the dance of stars. He understood that by mastering these subjects, he could turn imagination into reality. Ambition ignited in him like a flame. Tesla no longer saw himself as a boy from a small village. He began to dream of becoming a man of discovery, someone who would change the world. This ambition would propel him through countless hardships, giving him the strength to endure isolation, poverty, and misunderstanding. His education was no longer a burden, it had become the key to his destiny. Subchapter 2.10 A Mind Awakened. By the time Tesla reached the later stages of his schooling, he was no longer simply a promising student. He was a mind awakened. His memory was extraordinary, his imagination vivid, and his determination fierce. He had endured illness, family tragedy, and the discipline of strict teachers, yet each challenge had only sharpened him. Education had given him more than facts and formulas. It had revealed to him his own potential. He understood now that knowledge was not something to be consumed and repeated, but something to be expanded and transformed. His mind was a workshop where nature's mysteries could be reconstructed, where the invisible could become visible, and where dreams could take physical form. As he prepared to move beyond Gospic and into higher education, Tesla carried with him more than notebooks and lessons. He carried an awakened vision. He believed that the forces of nature were not enemies to be feared, but allies waiting to be harnessed. The boy who once stared at storms in wonder was now a young man determined to capture lightning itself. His journey of education had just begun, but the fire within him was already burning brightly. Chapter 3: University Dreams and Early Struggles. Subchapter 3.1: Arrival in Graz. When Nikola Tesla arrived at the Polytechnic Institute in Graz, he was filled with excitement and determination. This was no longer the village classroom or the modest school in Gospic. This was a place of higher learning, where the brightest minds studied advanced science and engineering. Tesla threw himself into the opportunity with a sense of mission. From the beginning, he distinguished himself. He attended lectures with total focus, taking notes at a furious pace. While many students struggled to keep up with the complex material, Tesla seemed to grasp it almost instantly. His professors noted his sharp intellect, his unusual memory, and his growing reputation as one of the most promising students. But Graz was also overwhelming. The workload was intense, and Tesla's perfectionism drove him to study day and night. He rarely allowed himself rest, believing that his mission required sacrifice. Friends recalled how he would spend countless hours in the library, reading beyond the curriculum, driven by a hunger to know more than was expected. This period marked both the peak of his discipline and the start of dangerous overwork. Subchapter 3.2: An Obsession with Machinery. In Graz, Tesla's fascination with machinery deepened. He attended lectures on mechanical engineering, where large demonstration models of engines and dynamos were displayed. Unlike many of his peers, who saw these machines as practical tools, Tesla saw them as living creatures, dynamic systems that revealed the hidden principles of nature. He often sketched designs in the margins of his notebooks, ideas that stretched far beyond the classroom lessons. One of his professors introduced the concept of a direct current motor, but Tesla was not satisfied. He began to imagine alternatives, questioning whether electricity could be used in more efficient ways. This dissatisfaction would eventually lead him toward the revolutionary idea of alternating current. But even in these early years, his obsession sometimes isolated him. While other students socialized, Tesla spent long nights in his room, thinking about how to improve mechanical systems. He believed machines were more than inventions. They were keys to unlocking energy itself. In Graz, the seeds of his greatest breakthrough were quietly germinating. Subchapter 3.3: Endless Hours of Study. Tesla's perfectionism in Graz soon became extreme. Determined to outwork everyone, he studied for nearly 20 hours a day, sleeping only a few hours at night. He devoured textbooks, memorized entire volumes, and absorbed knowledge as though preparing for a lifetime in a single year. His professors were astonished, and his classmates could hardly understand how he kept going. But this intensity came at a price. Tesla's health began to deteriorate. He suffered from exhaustion, headaches, and nervous strain. His once strong body weakened, and friends warned him that he was pushing himself too hard. Yet he refused to slow down, convinced that every moment not spent studying was a wasted opportunity. In time, this dangerous pace caught up with him. Tesla later admitted that his drive to achieve perfection in Graz led to collapse. His story is a reminder that brilliance, when not balanced by care for the body, can become destructive. Still, even in this exhaustion, his mind burned brightly with ideas. Subchapter 3.4 Conflict with Professors. While Tesla earned admiration for his brilliance, he also stirred conflict with professors who found his questions challenging. He was not afraid to dispute authority when he felt an explanation was incomplete. In particular, Tesla openly criticized the design of direct current motors, insisting that they were inefficient and doomed to fail. This audacity was unusual for a student. Professors were accustomed to obedience, not debate. Some respected his courage, while others grew impatient with what they considered arrogance. Tesla's conviction, however, was not born of pride, but of clarity. He saw flaws in accepted technology and could not remain silent. Such conflicts foreshadowed his later career. Throughout his life, Tesla would challenge powerful figures and established systems, insisting on his own vision of truth. In Graz, these disputes began as academic debates, but they revealed the core of his character, a refusal to compromise when faced with error, even if it meant standing alone. Subchapter 3.5 The Decline of Discipline. For a time, Tesla maintained his incredible discipline, but the strain eventually grew unbearable. His endless studying, combined with financial troubles, began to erode his ability to function. He started missing lectures, his once perfect attendance slipping. Professors noticed the change, and his brilliant reputation began to falter. Financial hardship worsened the situation. His family struggled to support him, and Tesla sometimes lacked the basic resources needed for study. Pride kept him from asking for help, and he withdrew into himself. Where once he had been the most promising student, he now risked losing everything. The decline of his discipline marked a turning point. Tesla learned that raw willpower without balance could not sustain him forever. Though painful, this period planted in him a deeper resilience. Failure did not destroy him. Instead, it forced him to adapt. His later successes would rise not from unbroken discipline, but from lessons learned in collapse. Subchapter 3.6 Financial Struggles and Isolation. Tesla's time in Graz was marked not only by intellectual brilliance, but also by financial struggle. His family could not fully support him, and he often had to choose between food, lodging, and books. Money was tight, and Tesla, proud and determined, refused to seek charity beyond what was absolutely necessary. This scarcity forced him into isolation. He spent long hours alone, studying by candlelight, sketching machines, and imagining improvements to the systems around him. While his peers socialized and enjoyed campus life, Tesla retreated further into his mind, where he had complete control. This solitude, though painful, also allowed his creativity to flourish. He learned early that brilliance often comes with sacrifice. Physical comforts were few, but the richness of discovery and imagination filled the void. Tesla began to understand that true innovation required not only intellect, but also endurance through hardship. The combination of poverty and isolation forged a resilience that would carry him far beyond Graz. Subchapter 3.7 The Vision of Machines in Motion. One of Tesla's defining traits during university was his ability to visualize machines completely in his mind. Unlike other students who built physical prototypes, Tesla could construct entire mechanisms mentally, rotating, testing, and perfecting them without touching a tool. This skill amazed his professors and foreshadowed his future breakthroughs. He began imagining motors, generators, and devices that operated with incredible efficiency. Tesla saw not just the mechanical function, but also the flow of energy through the system, predicting potential flaws and improvements before anything existed in reality. These mental exercises were not mere daydreams. They were practical tools that allowed him to experiment safely, conserving resources while exploring countless possibilities. In these visions, Tesla was already laying the foundation for the alternating current systems that would later revolutionize electricity. Subchapter 3.8 Early Obsessions with Electricity. Tesla's fascination with electricity grew intensely in Graz. He became obsessed with understanding the invisible forces that powered the world. Experiments, lectures, and books offered glimpses, but Tesla wanted mastery. He spent hours studying the principles of electromagnetism, learning the behavior of currents, fields, and potentials. He also began to notice inefficiencies in existing systems. Direct current motors and generators, while functional, could be vastly improved. Tesla believed that energy should not be wasted, and he dreamed of creating devices that harnessed power more efficiently and safely. This obsession marked the beginning of a lifelong journey. Electricity was no longer just a scientific curiosity, it was the medium through which Tesla imagined reshaping the world. Every spark, every diagram, and every theory became a step toward inventions that would astonish humanity. Subchapter 3.9 Mental Struggles and Collapse. Despite brilliance and creativity, Tesla's extreme habits eventually took a toll. Overwork, poor nutrition, and relentless pressure led to nervous exhaustion. He experienced hallucinations, insomnia, and episodes of severe physical weakness. Professors grew concerned, and friends urged him to rest. These struggles were both a curse and a lesson. Tesla learned that genius alone could not compensate for neglect of the body. Yet, even in collapse, his mind continued to work, imagining new machines and refining old ideas. The contrast between physical weakness and mental strength became a defining aspect of his life. Through this period, Tesla discovered resilience. He realized that even when the world seemed against him, his inner vision remained intact. This awareness would later allow him to pursue monumental projects with persistence, despite skepticism, poverty, or illness. Subchapter 3.10 Graduation and the Horizon Ahead. By the time Tesla left Graz, he had faced triumphs and trials alike. His intellect had grown sharper, his creativity more vivid, and his resolve stronger. Though he did not always follow a linear path, the combination of success, failure, and struggle had forged a remarkable foundation. Graduation marked not just the completion of formal study, but the beginning of real-world ambition. Tesla was no longer a student dreaming of machines. He was a visionary, ready to engage with industry, invent new systems, and challenge the existing order. The horizon ahead was uncertain, filled with opportunity, risk, and the promise of discovery. His experiences in Graz taught him invaluable lessons. Discipline and obsession could yield brilliance, but balance was necessary. Solitude could foster creativity, and financial or physical hardship could be endured if the mind remained focused. With these tools, Tesla was prepared to step into the wider world, a young man whose dreams stretched far beyond the limits of any classroom. Subchapter 4.1 Arrival in Budapest. After leaving Graz, Nikola Tesla arrived in Budapest. A city alive with innovation and bustling with the pulse of telegraph wires stretching through streets and buildings. The Central Telegraph Office, where Tesla secured a position, became the stage for his first encounters with large-scale electrical systems. He was immediately captivated by the rhythmic blinking of telegraph machines, the hum of dynamos, and the intricate networks of wires connecting distant parts of the city. From the beginning, Tesla distinguished himself with an obsessive focus. Where others followed routine, he questioned every component, visualizing improvements that could enhance efficiency and reliability. His supervisors were initially wary, unsure whether his relentless questioning signaled brilliance or eccentricity, yet his insights could not be ignored. Within weeks, he proposed modifications that reduced signal loss and improved the speed of message transmission. Innovations that reflected his extraordinary understanding of electricity. Tesla's life in Budapest was modest and austere. He rented a small room, often spending long nights immersed in thought rather than in sleep. Meals were frequently skipped as his mind raced with ideas, calculations, and visualizations of mechanisms in motion. The city's vibrancy contrasted with his isolation, yet he drew inspiration from the environment, observing patterns in daily life and imagining how electricity could enhance communication, lighting, and industrial operations. Beyond technical observation, Tesla cultivated an intense mental discipline. He could mentally simulate entire machines, predicting performance, efficiency, and even potential failures before touching a tool. This skill allowed him to refine designs with astonishing precision, setting the stage for the revolutionary inventions that would later define his career. Subchapter 4.2: The Dynamo and Motor Revelation. During his early professional years in Budapest, Tesla encountered large-scale direct current DC machines for the first time. Observing them operate, he immediately recognized their inefficiencies: excessive heat generation, frictional losses, and mechanical wear. The limitations of DC systems frustrated him, sparking a vision for a fundamentally different approach to electrical machinery. In the quiet of his rented room, Tesla began to conceptualize a motor powered by alternating current, AC. Unlike conventional DC motors, this machine would operate silently, efficiently, and without the mechanical constraints that limited existing devices. He meticulously visualized every component: coils, rotors, stators, and the flow of current, rotating each element in his mind to anticipate the behavior under different loads. Tesla's mental simulations were not abstract fantasies. They were rigorous exercises in engineering. He calculated magnetic fields, electrical resistance, and torque mentally, refining designs before committing a single diagram to paper. These exercises allowed him to foresee challenges and test solutions without material resources, a method that would define his inventive process for decades. Beyond motors, Tesla began envisioning systems for the widespread distribution of AC power. He imagined transmitting electricity over long distances with minimal loss, a concept that would later challenge the dominant DC paradigm. These ideas, quietly nurtured in Budapest, were the first seeds of the revolutionary innovations that would later electrify the world. Subchapter 4.3: Mentorship and Inspiration. During his Budapest years, Tesla encountered mentors who recognized and nurtured his extraordinary potential. One senior engineer, experienced in telegraphy and electrical installations, took Tesla under his wing. They spent hours discussing the theoretical and practical aspects of electricity, debating principles, and exploring new designs. Tesla's natural inclination to challenge established conventions emerged in these interactions. He questioned accepted engineering practices, criticized existing machinery, and proposed novel solutions. Rather than discouraging him, his mentor encouraged this boldness, understanding that true innovation often requires the courage to defy tradition. Mentorship also provided practical grounding. Tesla learned to consider material limitations, financial constraints, and real-world safety concerns while pursuing imaginative solutions. This balance of visionary thinking and pragmatic understanding became a hallmark of his approach, allowing him to envision revolutionary systems while remaining aware of engineering realities. Through these exchanges, Tesla developed a methodology blending observation, mental simulation, and practical experimentation. The lessons from mentorship, combined with his obsessive focus, created a foundation that would support his future breakthroughs, from induction motors to large-scale AC power systems. Subchapter 4.4: Isolation and Obsession in Budapest. Despite mentorship and professional engagement, Tesla remained intensely solitary. He often walked for hours alone through the streets of Budapest, mentally visualizing circuits, magnetic fields, and motor operations. The city, with its vibrant energy, became a backdrop for his internal experiments. In his room, Tesla pursued mental construction of machines, often avoiding physical assembly until a design was perfected entirely in his mind. He believed that this approach saved time and minimized errors, as every potential flaw could be identified and corrected before touching tools. The precision of his imagination became a defining feature of his genius. This obsessive focus often alienated him from colleagues and friends, yet it was indispensable to his creative process. Tesla's solitude allowed uninterrupted exploration of electrical principles, experimentation with high voltages, and the continuous refinement of mechanical designs. Budapest was not just a workplace, it was a crucible in which his mental discipline and inventive brilliance were forged. Subchapter 4.5: High Voltage Experiments. Tesla's fascination with electricity naturally led him to experiment with high voltages. Using simple coils, spark gaps, and rudimentary capacitors, he created miniature lightning arcs that danced across his workspace. Each spark offered insights into energy behavior, electrical discharge, and insulation properties. He meticulously recorded observations, noting spark length, arc shape, and the effects of different conductors. These experiments were far more than curiosities. They were deliberate investigations into principles that would underpin his future inventions, including transformers, induction motors, and wireless transmission. Tesla also connected these experiments to his motor designs. He envisioned machines that could harness high-voltage energy to produce rotation with minimal friction and heat, anticipating concepts that would later revolutionize industrial machinery. His meticulous documentation, mental simulations, and early experimentation established a methodological pattern that would characterize his entire career. Subchapter 4.6: The Budapest Lightning Experiments. Tesla's fascination with electricity led him to conduct high-voltage experiments late into the night. In his small, dimly lit room, he built rudimentary coils, capacitors, and spark gaps, generating miniature lightning storms that danced through the air. Each spark, bright and fleeting, captured his imagination. He meticulously observed the behavior of arcs, studying how different materials influenced their shape, length, and intensity. Beyond simple observation, Tesla was testing the principles that would later underpin his revolutionary electrical inventions. He visualized these experiments in real-world applications, imagining how controlled high-voltage currents could power motors, transmit energy over long distances, and illuminate entire cities. For him, every spark was a revelation, a glimpse into nature's invisible forces. Friends occasionally peered into his room, astonished by the strange, almost magical lights flickering from his windows. Tesla welcomed few interruptions, preferring solitude, as distraction could break the delicate mental calculations and simulations that accompanied every experiment. These sessions were not mere hobbies, they were systematic explorations of energy, magnetism, and the potential for harnessing electricity in unprecedented ways. Tesla also began experimenting with resonance, noticing that certain coil arrangements produced amplified currents and sparks. He carefully noted the configurations, voltage levels, and distances, mentally cataloging each result. These early trials in Budapest foreshadowed the development of his transformers and wireless transmission concepts. The city became a quiet laboratory where imagination and physics intertwined. Subchapter 4.7 Early Pioneering Designs. By mid-1883, Tesla had sketched comprehensive designs for alternating current AC motors and transformers. Unlike most inventors of the time, he rarely constructed prototypes at first. Instead, he visualized every component and operation entirely in his mind. He could rotate parts, observe magnetic fields, and simulate electrical flow, anticipating inefficiencies or mechanical problems before committing anything to paper. His sketches, though small and simple, revealed extraordinary detail. Tesla annotated coil arrangements, rotor configurations, insulation methods, and projected energy output. Each design reflected not only creativity but a rigorous engineering methodology, merging theoretical insight with practical application. Tesla also considered broader implications. He envisioned systems capable of transmitting AC power over long distances, reducing energy loss, and enabling cities and industries to operate more efficiently. These mental exercises were vital. They allowed him to experiment, refine, and perfect ideas without the expense or risk of physical prototypes. These early designs also revealed Tesla's foresight regarding safety and efficiency. He accounted for insulation breakdown, heat dissipation, and mechanical stress concerns many engineers ignored at the time. His approach was systematic, combining imagination, calculation, and meticulous record-keeping, laying the foundation for his later breakthroughs and international patents. Subchapter 4.8 Life Beyond the Laboratory. Despite his obsessive focus on experiments, Tesla's life in Budapest was not completely isolated. He formed friendships with a few fellow engineers and students who admired his intellect and eccentricity. During long walks, he would discuss concepts of electricity and mechanics, often using animated gestures as if constructing machines in mid-air. Social interaction, however, remained limited. Tesla found conventional entertainment trivial compared to intellectual pursuits. Books, journals, and lectures were his companions, feeding a mind perpetually curious about the natural world and technological possibilities. Financially, he lived modestly, tolerating discomfort for the sake of mental freedom. Meals were often rushed or skipped, lodging sparse, yet he considered these sacrifices necessary for uninterrupted creative exploration. Daily routines were structured around experiments, reading, and mental simulations. Tesla's discipline was extreme. He would wake early, work for hours without interruption, and then take long, solitary walks to think through complex problems. The rhythm of Budapest life contrasted with the intensity of his inner world, creating a balance that fostered both observation and innovation. Subchapter 4.9 Preparations for Paris. Tesla's growing reputation and ambitions eventually drew him to Paris, where the Continental Edison Company offered opportunities to work on large-scale electrical installations. Before leaving Budapest, he refined AC motor designs, tested small experiments, and corresponded with engineers to validate his ideas. The transition marked a shift from conceptual work to applied engineering on an industrial scale. Tesla anticipated the challenges of working with large generators, long-distance power lines, and complex machinery. He mentally simulated each system, predicting failures, electrical losses, and operational performance. Packing his notebooks, sketches, and a few tools, Tesla prepared for Paris with both excitement and apprehension. The lessons from Budapest: rigorous self-discipline, experimental precision, and mental visualization would guide him through the new challenges of international engineering work. He carried with him not just physical belongings, but a deeply ingrained methodology and vision for the future of electricity. Subchapter 4.10 Reflections on Early Innovation. Reflecting on his Budapest years, Tesla recognized the profound impact of isolation, hardship, and obsessive focus. Every experiment, every mental simulation, and every small success shaped a mind capable of extraordinary creativity and precision. Failures were not discouragements, but lessons, each one refining his understanding of electricity and mechanics. These formative experiences cultivated qualities that defined Tesla's career: visionary thinking, meticulous planning, mental simulation of machines, and the courage to challenge conventional ideas. Budapest had been both a laboratory and a proving ground, where theoretical concepts were tested against reality, and where intellectual rigor met creative ambition. The foundation laid during these years would resonate throughout Tesla's life. From high-voltage experiments to industrial motor designs, from mental sketches to international patents, the lessons of Budapest informed every subsequent achievement. This period demonstrated the power of disciplined imagination, rigorous observation, and unwavering dedication, traits that made Nikola Tesla one of history's most extraordinary inventors. Subchapter 5.1 Arrival in Paris. In the spring of 1882, Nikola Tesla arrived in Paris, a city that pulsed with innovation, electricity, and the restless energy of industrial growth. With only a few personal belongings, a notebook filled with sketches, and the burning ambition to realize his ideas, Tesla stepped into a world vastly different from his native Smiljan. Paris was alive. Gas lamps flickered on wide boulevards, factory chimneys exhaled thick smoke, and the early electric lights were beginning to transform the night into a spectacle of modern brilliance. For most people, these signs of industrialization were ordinary, but for Tesla, they were a living demonstration of the potential of energy harnessed by human ingenuity. Tesla joined the Continental Edison Company, where he was immediately immersed in the practical workings of electrical systems. The city's dynamic electrical network, with its direct current generators, telegraph systems, and lighting experiments, provided him a laboratory unlike any he had known. From the very first day, He noticed inefficiencies over heated wires, energy loss in transmission, and mechanical limitations that were often ignored by other engineers. While others accepted these problems as unavoidable, Tesla saw them as challenges to be solved. Each evening, after navigating the busy streets of Paris and the clamor of industrial activity, he retreated to his modest room. Under the dim glow of gas lamps, he would mentally assemble machines, rotate rotors, and simulate electromagnetic fields entirely in his mind. This practice of mental visualization allowed him to refine his ideas without physically touching any components. He saw every detail, anticipated each interaction of magnetic fields, and evaluated the potential stresses on moving parts. In Paris, Tesla began to cultivate the discipline and precision that would define his life as an inventor. Subchapter 5.2 The Edison Workshop. Tesla's workspace at Continental Edison was a cacophony of mechanical sounds and electrical activity. Massive direct current generators hummed steadily, motors clanged rhythmically, and the air carried the pungent odor of heated metals and electrical insulation. Amid this controlled chaos, Tesla thrived, finding patterns and connections where others saw only noise. Almost immediately, he identified inefficiencies that went unnoticed by his colleagues. Energy losses due to resistance, overheating of coils, and unbalanced current distribution were problems he meticulously recorded and analyzed. Unlike other engineers, Tesla refused to accept these limitations as inevitable. He approached each problem with both practical skill and visionary insight. Tesla introduced innovative solutions, improved insulation for wiring, precise reconfigurations of coil windings, and mechanical adjustments to reduce friction. Supervisors were intrigued yet cautious. Tesla's unconventional methods challenged established practices. However, his results were undeniable, and his reputation as a brilliant but eccentric engineer grew quickly. One remarkable aspect of Tesla's method was his extraordinary mental visualization. He could rotate entire machines in his mind, foresee how magnetic fields would interact, and predict mechanical stresses. This ability allowed him to refine designs and test variations without constructing physical prototypes, giving him an unmatched speed in innovation and experimentation. Subchapter 5.3 Conflicts and Ambitions. Despite his growing reputation, Tesla encountered significant friction with Edison's management. His proposals for alternating current systems and induction motors were often dismissed outright. Edison, committed to direct current, regarded Tesla's ideas as risky and unnecessary. Yet Tesla persisted, working in solitude and constantly refining his concepts. During long nights in his room, he visualized polyphase motors, simulated electrical flows, and calculated magnetic flux in complete detail. Every scenario was rehearsed in his mind: rotors spinning, currents alternating, and transformers stepping voltage up or down. This intense mental practice allowed him to anticipate problems before any physical construction, giving him a remarkable edge in design efficiency. The conflict with Edison underscored Tesla's independent nature. He realized that true innovation required freedom from rigid industrial constraints and the courage to pursue ideas considered impossible by others. This tension, while frustrating, strengthened his resolve. Paris, with its mixture of opportunity and restriction, became a crucible in which Tesla's technical genius and determination were forged. Subchapter 5.4 Parisian Life. Outside the workshop, Tesla lived a life marked by discipline, minimalism, and intellectual immersion. His rooms were modest, sparsely furnished, and primarily dedicated to work. Notebooks, sketches, and small experimental devices filled every surface. His daily routine was carefully structured, allowing maximum focus on study, calculation, and reflection. Long walks through the streets, markets, and along the Seine were not merely leisure, they were essential periods of observation. Tesla noticed the vibrations of machinery, the flicker of early electric lamps, and subtle patterns of energy and motion in the city around him. These observations fueled his experiments and enriched his designs. Social interactions were limited by choice. Tesla sought conversation that stimulated the intellect rather than idle chatter. Meals were simple, often skipped during periods of intense concentration, and his lifestyle reflected a singular devotion to invention. Even cultural outings, such as attending theater, performances, or art exhibitions, inspired insights. Tesla often drew analogies between patterns of light, motion, and energy in the world around him, incorporating these abstract observations into his engineering concepts. Subchapter 5.5 AC concepts take shape. By 1883, Tesla's understanding of alternating current systems had matured considerably. He began to mentally assemble polyphase motors, transformers, and electrical distribution networks with extraordinary clarity. In his imagination, he could see the flow of electricity, anticipate voltage changes, and visualize the operation of machines under varying loads. He carefully considered technical details, appropriate insulation materials, the impact of mechanical friction, and potential safety measures. His notebooks contained intricate sketches of induction motors, conceptual diagrams of polyphase systems, and layouts for power grids. These designs were not theoretical fantasies, they were practical, actionable concepts poised to transform electrical engineering. Tesla's AC ideas stood in stark contrast to Edison's DC approach. While Edison focused on immediate, practical solutions, Tesla envisioned a future where efficient long-distance transmission and industrial scalability could revolutionize cities and industries. Paris had provided the fertile ground for these revolutionary concepts, a blend of observation, experimentation, cultural inspiration, and technical study that shaped the visionary ideas he would later bring to the United States. Subchapter 5.6 Early Experiments with Motors. By late 1883, Tesla had begun constructing small-scale models of motors to test his ideas about alternating current. His experiments were meticulous. Each component, the coils, the rotors, and the stators, was carefully designed and mentally visualized before physical assembly. Tesla's practice of imagining complete machines in his mind allowed him to anticipate how magnetic fields would interact, the torque that would be generated, and potential points of mechanical stress. When he first powered these motors, the results were extraordinary. Unlike the direct current motors used in Edison's plants, Tesla's motors ran smoothly, with continuous rotation and minimal sparking. The precision and balance of the polyphase system created efficiency far beyond what DC motors could achieve. Colleagues were both impressed and skeptical, as these motors operated on principles few engineers at the time fully understood. Tesla's notebooks from this period reveal dozens of detailed sketches, including alternative coil arrangements, different rotor shapes, and imagined variations in electrical frequency. Each drawing represented hours of mental simulation, showing his ability to perfect mechanisms without physically touching them. These early motors would later serve as the foundation for his revolutionary work in AC power systems. Subchapter 5.7 Frustrations with Edison. Despite the success of his early motors and innovative solutions, Tesla faced constant frustration within Edison's organization. Edison was committed to direct current, invested in massive infrastructure, and reluctant to adopt Tesla's untested concepts. Every proposal for AC motors, transformers, or polyphase distribution was met with polite dismissal or outright resistance. Tesla's perseverance was remarkable. Instead of giving in, he retreated into solitary study and mental experimentation. In the quiet of his room, he would visualize entire power networks, imagining citywide AC distribution and the precise operation of each motor and generator. He mentally rotated machines, calculated magnetic flux, and envisioned long-distance energy transmission. These challenges, while difficult, strengthened Tesla's resolve. He understood that groundbreaking invention required independence from traditional industrial thinking. The tension with Edison clarified for him the importance of pursuing his own vision, even at the risk of professional isolation. Paris, though rich in resources and ideas, also highlighted the constraints of working under conventional management. Subchapter 5.8 Cultural and Intellectual Immersion. Tesla's time in Paris was not only technical but deeply cultural and intellectual. He immersed himself in the language, learning French to communicate effectively with colleagues, neighbors, and the broader scientific community. He explored libraries and technical societies, absorbing knowledge from textbooks, journals, and lectures. Even routine walks became opportunities for observation and insight. Tesla would study mechanical systems in factories, the flow of energy through city lights, and subtle patterns of human activity, all of which influenced his mental simulations. Were more than social spaces, they were classrooms where he observed interactions, tested hypotheses about human behavior, and reflected on mechanical and electrical principles. Art, theater, and exhibitions provided unexpected inspiration. Tesla often drew analogies between patterns in visual art and the flow of electricity. He observed symmetry, motion, and balance, translating these abstract concepts into engineering solutions. This blending of scientific precision and creative observation strengthened both his technical and imaginative capacities. Subchapter 5.9 Preparing for Greater Ambitions. By 1884, Tesla's ideas had fully matured. He had perfected concepts for induction motors, polyphase systems, and efficient generators. He began documenting every detail meticulously, calculations, diagrams, and design notes that would later form the basis of patents and industrial applications. Tesla recognized that Paris, while invaluable for learning and experimentation, could not provide the freedom or resources necessary to fully realize his vision. The industrial world of Europe was constrained by established systems and hesitant investors. For Tesla, America represented the next frontier, a place where independent inventors could test revolutionary ideas, challenge existing norms, and build entire systems from scratch. Before leaving, Tesla ensured that every design, every insight, and every technical principle was recorded with precision. His preparations reflected both foresight and discipline, ensuring that the transition to the United States would be efficient and effective. Every sketch and calculation was a step toward realizing his long-term vision of electrifying the world. Subchapter 5.10 Reflections on Paris. Looking back, Tesla considered his time in Paris a formative period of extraordinary growth. The city had served as a laboratory, a teacher, and a stage for testing both technical skill and personal resilience. He had observed the limitations of direct current, refined his understanding of alternating current, and developed mental techniques that allowed him to innovate beyond physical constraints. Paris taught Tesla the value of careful observation, disciplined study, and independent thought. It provided a cultural and intellectual backdrop that enriched his creativity, from art and architecture to science and mathematics. Though he faced resistance and professional friction, these challenges strengthened his resolve and clarified his vision for the future. By the end of his Parisian chapter, Tesla was ready. He had mastered the principles that would define his work, prepared detailed designs for his inventions, and cultivated the mental discipline that would allow him to realize complex systems in the United States. Paris had illuminated his path, setting the stage for a career that would forever change the world of electricity and technology. Subchapter 6.1 Arrival in New York. In the spring of 1884, Nikola Tesla arrived in New York City. A young inventor carrying little more than a letter of introduction, a few sketches, and an insatiable curiosity about the workings of electricity. The city, buzzing with activity and rapid industrial expansion, was unlike anything Tesla had experienced in Europe. Its streets were filled with horse-drawn carriages, steam-powered machines, and early electric lights flickering in windows, offering glimpses of the technological revolution underway. Tesla's mind was already alive with ideas. While his body was fatigued from the long ocean voyage, his mental energy surged. He could visualize the potential of alternating current systems. Imagine motors turning without friction, and picture a network of electric power extending across entire cities. For Tesla, New York was more than a destination. It was a canvas upon which he intended to paint a new future of energy and innovation. Upon arrival, Tesla was guided to Edison Machine Works, where he presented his letter of introduction to Thomas Edison. The workshop was a chaotic hub of engineers, laborers, and machines clanking and whirring around every corner. Tesla observed the complex dance of direct current generators, dynamos, and motors, noting inefficiencies that might be corrected. Every sound, motion, and vibration contributed to his mental catalog of engineering insight, forming the foundation for the inventions he planned to develop in the United States. Subchapter 6.2 First Days at Edison Machine Works. Tesla's initial days at Edison Machine Works were both exhilarating and exhausting. He was assigned to work on the repair and maintenance of DC generators and to improve their efficiency, a task that exposed him to the practical realities of industrial electricity in America. While Edison's team was committed to direct current, Tesla's mind constantly explored the possibilities of alternating current. His ability to visualize machines in his mind gave him an extraordinary advantage. Tesla could mentally assemble a motor, rotate it, simulate the flow of electricity, and predict points of failure all without physically touching the device. This skill allowed him to propose design modifications that often exceeded the expectations of his colleagues. Though they did not fully comprehend the revolutionary potential behind them, during breaks, Tesla studied the workshop's machines with precision, noting the heat loss in coils, the wear on bearings, and the sparking of contacts. While his co-workers accepted these as inherent limitations, Tesla saw opportunities for improvement. His mental experiments became a daily routine, transforming every observation into a potential solution, every problem into a step toward innovation. Subchapter 6.3: Edison and the Conflict of Currents. Soon, Tesla's ideas brought him into direct conflict with Thomas Edison. Edison was a firm believer in direct current, having invested heavily in its infrastructure. He was resistant to Tesla's proposals for alternating current systems, considering them impractical and potentially dangerous. This philosophical and technical disagreement mirrored Tesla's earlier challenges in Europe, where he had encountered similar skepticism. Tesla did not allow Edison's resistance to discourage him. After long days in the workshop, he would retreat to his small room and mentally construct AC motors and polyphase systems. He simulated the flow of electricity, calculated torque and efficiency, and visualized long-distance transmission, all without building physical prototypes. This mental discipline became the cornerstone of his inventive process, allowing him to refine his designs to near perfection before committing them to paper or metal. The tension with Edison also clarified Tesla's understanding of the industrial world. He realized that breakthrough innovation often required independence from established norms and the courage to pursue ideas considered impossible by the prevailing authorities. These insights would later drive his decision to leave Edison Machine Works and establish his own path in the United States. Subchapter 6.4: Adjusting to Life in America. Life outside the workshop was equally formative. Tesla lived modestly, often in small rooms that doubled as offices, laboratories, and sleeping quarters. Every inch of space was filled with notebooks, sketches, small experimental devices, and mechanical components. His daily routine was governed by rigorous discipline, long hours of work, meticulous observation, calculation, and mental experimentation. Despite his isolation, Tesla immersed himself in the cultural and intellectual environment of New York. He explored libraries, attended lectures, and walked the streets of the city, observing industrial processes, streetcars, and the interplay of mechanical and electrical systems. Even casual observations, the behavior of a streetcar motor, the efficiency of a lamp, or the vibration of machinery fed his mental simulations, contributing to the refinement of his designs. Tesla also maintained a strict regimen of self-care to preserve mental focus. He often skipped meals during periods of intense concentration, slept minimally, and avoided distractions that could interrupt his thought process. This level of discipline, while extreme, allowed him to achieve a level of technical precision and creativity that few could match. Subchapter 6.5: Early Patents and Experimental Designs. By the end of 1884, Tesla began formalizing his first American inventions. He meticulously documented his sketches, calculations, and mechanical diagrams, focusing on the development of polyphase motors, transformers, and generators. Each entry reflected not only technical understanding, but also the ability to anticipate problems and solutions before they manifested physically. These early designs were practical and implementable, reflecting Tesla's unique combination of imagination and engineering skill. He experimented with coil windings, rotor configurations, and electrical frequencies, creating a comprehensive framework for the AC systems he intended to deploy. Unlike many inventors of the time, Tesla visualized entire networks and machines before ever touching metal or wire, an approach that saved time and reduced experimental errors. Tesla's early patents were critical for establishing credibility in the United States. They showcased his innovative approach to electrical engineering and laid the groundwork for a career that would revolutionize power transmission, motors, and industrial systems. These first achievements, born of mental discipline, meticulous observation, and relentless experimentation, marked the beginning of his American journey and foreshadowed the revolutionary breakthroughs yet to come. Subchapter 6.6 Early Collaborations. After leaving Edison Machine Works, Tesla sought collaborators who shared his vision for alternating current systems. Among the few who recognized his genius was Charles Batchelor, a former associate of Edison who had observed Tesla's remarkable skills firsthand. Batchelor introduced Tesla to investors and engineers, facilitating his entry into New York's competitive electrical industry. Tesla's collaborations, however, were often short-lived. Many associates were intrigued by his ideas, but unprepared for the intensity and precision required to implement them. Tesla's mental rigor and insistence on exact calculations sometimes clashed with more practical or profit-oriented engineers. Despite this, he managed to assemble small teams capable of translating his abstract designs into working prototypes, setting the stage for the first functional AC motors and transformers. These collaborations taught Tesla not only technical lessons, but also the nuances of business and human interaction. He realized that revolutionary inventions often depended as much on convincing investors and colleagues as on engineering prowess. The lessons of persuasion, negotiation, and careful presentation would accompany him throughout his career. Subchapter 6.7 Designing the First AC Motor. One of Tesla's first major achievements in the United States was the design of the polyphase alternating current motor. Unlike direct current motors, which required complex mechanical commutators, Tesla envisioned a motor powered by multiple alternating currents flowing in different phases, producing a rotating magnetic field without physical brushes. He spent countless hours mentally simulating the motor, imagining every coil, winding, and magnetic interaction. Tesla's unique visualization abilities allowed him to foresee problems such as overheating, inefficiency, and mechanical wear before constructing a single prototype. By the time he physically built the motor, he had already solved most potential issues in his mind, resulting in a machine that functioned almost perfectly on the first attempt. This motor represented more than a single invention. It was a proof of concept for the broader polyphase AC system. Tesla realized that AC could transmit electricity over long distances efficiently, without the losses that plagued DC systems, positioning his designs to potentially revolutionize the electrical industry. Subchapter 6.8 The Patent Struggle. Securing patents in America proved challenging. Tesla, often absorbed in theoretical and practical design, sometimes neglected legal formalities, relying on collaborators and patent attorneys to protect his work. Each submission required meticulous diagrams, precise language, and careful explanation of mechanical and electrical principles. Tesla's first patents included diagrams of polyphase generators, motors, and transformers, each accompanied by descriptions of their operation. The patent office, unfamiliar with the revolutionary nature of his designs, required Tesla to clarify points, justify efficiencies, and demonstrate feasibility. He approached this task with characteristic precision, revising sketches, running calculations, and sometimes building small-scale models to prove concepts. The patents not only protected Tesla's intellectual property, but also legitimized his presence in the American engineering community. Investors and industry leaders began to recognize him as a serious innovator, opening doors to funding, contracts, and future collaborations that would define his career. Subchapter 6.9: Financial Challenges and Persistence. Despite his technical brilliance, Tesla often struggled financially. The cost of materials, workshop space, and experimentation was high, and his ideas were sometimes considered too advanced or risky by conservative investors. Tesla's personal frugality helped him survive. He lived modestly, sometimes skipping meals or sharing small apartments, dedicating nearly all resources to his experiments. These hardships did not deter him. Tesla's obsession with his work and vision of a future powered by alternating current drove him to persist despite setbacks. He often worked through the night, testing coils, adjusting winding configurations, and refining motor designs. Every challenge became an opportunity to learn, every failed experiment a step closer to success. His perseverance laid the groundwork for future breakthroughs, demonstrating that innovation required not just intellect but resilience, discipline, and unwavering commitment to a vision that others could not yet see. Subchapter 6.10: Laying the Foundations for a Revolution. By the end of this early phase in his American career, Tesla had established the foundations for the electrical revolution he envisioned. His mental rigor, combined with methodical experimentation, had produced working AC motors, initial patents, and a growing understanding of large-scale electrical transmission. Tesla's early work demonstrated that electricity could be harnessed more efficiently, safely, and over greater distances than previously thought possible. He began to plan the infrastructure necessary for entire cities to be powered by AC, imagining networks of transformers, generators, and distribution lines. His vision extended beyond immediate profits toward the long-term transformation of industry and society. These formative years in New York laid the groundwork for his most famous collaborations and rivalries, setting the stage for the war of currents and the eventual widespread adoption of alternating current. Tesla's commitment, ingenuity, and relentless experimentation during this period would define the trajectory of modern electrical engineering, proving that the mind of a single determined inventor could indeed shape the world. 7.1: Arrival in America. Nikola Tesla arrived in New York City in 1884, carrying little more than a letter of introduction to Thomas Edison, a few personal belongings, and an uncontainable wealth of ideas. Stepping off the ship, Tesla was immediately struck by the contrast between the crowded, bustling streets of New York and the quiet landscapes of his native Smiljan. Smoke, industrial noise, and the hum of city life created an environment both intimidating and inspiring. Tesla understood that this city would test both his intellectual capabilities and his resilience. His early days were a mixture of observation, experimentation, and cautious social adaptation. Tesla quickly approached Edison and began working on direct current DC machines. He meticulously analyzed the limitations of existing DC generators, identifying inefficiencies and envisioning alternatives. Tesla kept extensive notes in his notebooks, filled with calculations, diagrams, and ideas for innovations that went far beyond what Edison's labs had produced. Tesla's arrival in America also represented a transition from theoretical brilliance to practical engineering. He had long imagined inventions in his mind before ever constructing them physically, and now he faced the challenge of applying his mental simulations to real-world industrial problems. Even in these first months, he wrote detailed letters to his family and friends back in Europe. describing the energy, scale, and potential of the city, all while nurturing a vision of transforming the world through electricity. 7.2. The vision of alternating current. Tesla's exposure to DC systems convinced him that they were fundamentally limited. He envisioned an electrical system capable of transmitting power over great distances without significant loss, a feat that DC simply could not achieve efficiently. This led him to develop and advocate for alternating current AC, which allowed voltage to be stepped up for transmission and stepped down for safe usage, providing unmatched flexibility for urban and industrial environments. But Tesla's vision went beyond power transmission. He imagined AC motors, transformers, and entire industrial networks optimized to run on alternating current. He spent hours mentally simulating complex electrical circuits, anticipating fluctuations, overloads, and resonance effects. This extraordinary capacity to visualize and calculate in his mind meant Tesla could refine complex designs without wasting materials or risking catastrophic failure. Tesla also foresaw the societal implications of AC technology. He imagined cities illuminated efficiently, factories powered without limitations, and electricity becoming a universal utility accessible to people from all walks of life. This visionary approach intertwined engineering precision with social consciousness, showing Tesla's belief that technology should uplift humanity rather than serve purely commercial interests. 7.3. Early demonstrations. Tesla's initial AC motors and transformers were tested in small workshops, often under conditions far from ideal. Despite these constraints, he demonstrated the efficiency, reliability, and safety of AC. Tesla personally supervised these experiments, adjusting coils, voltage, and mechanical alignments with precision, ensuring that each motor or transformer operated flawlessly. Public demonstrations were a critical tool in promoting AC. Tesla-powered lamps, fountains, and small industrial machines to illustrate the practicality of his systems. Spectators were often astounded, perceiving the transformation of electricity into light and motion almost as magic. These events not only showcased Tesla's inventions, but also built public trust in AC, countering widespread skepticism fueled by the entrenched DC industry. Tesla's demonstrations combined technical ingenuity with theatrical flair. He understood that capturing attention was essential for adoption. Each experiment was carefully planned to highlight the advantages of AC while minimizing risk. The spectacle of glowing lights and smoothly operating motors convinced industrialists, engineers, and laypeople alike that AC was the future of electrical energy. 7.4. Industrial collaborations. As Tesla's reputation grew, he began collaborating with workshops and factories eager to implement AC systems. These installations were complex, requiring careful planning, precise wiring, and synchronization of motors. Unlike DC systems, AC allowed multiple machines to operate efficiently from a single generator, significantly reducing operational costs and complexity. Tesla personally oversaw these projects, combining technical expertise with hands-on supervision. He ensured that motors were properly aligned, generators operated smoothly, and safety protocols were followed meticulously. Each industrial collaboration functioned as both a practical demonstration and a testing ground for further refinements. These projects also provided Tesla with valuable feedback, enabling him to optimize design principles for broader applications. Through these early industrial implementations, Tesla proved that AC was not merely a theoretical improvement over DC, but a viable, scalable solution for the demands of modern industry. The success of these collaborations laid the foundation for larger projects, demonstrating the practicality of AC in real-world conditions and paving the way for national adoption. 7.5 Partnership with George Westinghouse. Tesla's meeting with George Westinghouse in 1888 marked a pivotal turning point. Westinghouse, an industrialist committed to AC technology, immediately recognized the revolutionary potential of Tesla's inventions. Their partnership combined Tesla's unparalleled technical skill with Westinghouse's industrial resources, financial backing, and strategic vision. Together, they undertook projects of unprecedented scale. Tesla contributed patents, technical expertise, and innovative designs, while Westinghouse coordinated manufacturing, logistics, and large-scale industrial deployment. Their collaboration enabled the construction of early power plants, transmission systems, and AC motor networks, providing tangible proof of AC's superiority over DC. This partnership also illustrated Tesla's ability to navigate complex social and industrial networks. He communicated technical ideas effectively, collaborated with engineers and investors, and ensured that his vision translated into practical, operational systems. The success of Tesla and Westinghouse's early projects ultimately set the stage for AC to dominate electrical distribution, shaping the foundation of modern electricity networks around the world. 7.6 The War of Currents. After Tesla partnered with Westinghouse, the stage was set for what became known as the War of Currents. Edison, a staunch advocate of direct current DC, saw AC as a threat to his investments and reputation. He launched campaigns portraying AC as dangerous, often using dramatic public demonstrations to instill fear, including electrocutions of animals to demonstrate perceived hazards. Tesla, however, remained focused on the technical merits of AC. He meticulously explained voltage transformation, circuit safety, and the advantages of long-distance transmission. Tesla's clarity and precision helped engineers and investors understand that AC could be safely and efficiently implemented, even in urban environments. The contrast between Edison's fear-driven tactics and Tesla's evidence-based approach highlighted the fundamental difference in philosophy. One focused on business dominance, the other on practical, transformative technology. Despite public skepticism and industrial opposition, AC gradually gained credibility. Tesla's motors and transformers proved reliable in increasingly complex demonstrations and industrial installations. Over time, these successes shifted public and investor confidence toward AC, demonstrating that innovation, rigorous experimentation, and careful explanation could overcome entrenched interests and misinformation. 7.7 Niagara Falls Project. One of Tesla's most notable achievements in America was the Niagara Falls Power Project. This monumental endeavor demonstrated the feasibility of transmitting AC electricity over long distances at unprecedented scale. Tesla and Westinghouse worked together to design generators, transformers, and transmission lines capable of delivering electricity from the falls to Buffalo, over 20 miles away. Tesla's input was critical. He calculated the optimal voltages, current flow, and transformer configurations to ensure minimal power loss. Every mechanical and electrical detail was scrutinized, from generator alignment to conductor thickness, demonstrating his characteristic precision. The project also required innovative solutions for synchronizing multiple generators and managing variable loads, challenges that Tesla solved through both theoretical calculations and practical insight. When the Niagara Falls power plant became operational, it provided reliable electricity for industry and homes, proving the superiority of AC. Tesla's contribution not only showcased his technical genius, but also established him as a figure capable of reshaping entire energy infrastructures, illustrating the tangible impact of his visionary ideas. 7.8. Expanding applications of AC. Following Niagara Falls, Tesla's AC systems were rapidly adopted for a variety of applications. Factories, urban lighting networks, and transportation systems increasingly relied on his inventions. AC motors powered machinery more efficiently than DC counterparts, allowing factories to scale operations and reduce energy losses. Street lighting became brighter and more reliable, transforming urban life after dark. Tesla also explored innovative uses beyond conventional industry. He experimented with electric transportation, imagining electrified trains and trolleys powered by AC networks. He envisioned cities interconnected by reliable and scalable energy grids, an idea that would later influence the design of national electrical systems. Tesla's work demonstrated that electricity was not merely a commodity, but a transformative force capable of reshaping society, urban planning, and daily life. These applications further solidified Tesla's reputation as a pioneer, attracting engineers, investors, and industrialists eager to implement his ideas. His ability to combine technical precision, visionary thinking, and practical solutions ensured that AC electricity would not remain an experimental concept, but become the backbone of modern civilization. 7.9. Challenges and opposition. Despite successes, Tesla faced continuous challenges. Industrial competitors, skeptics, and even collaborators occasionally questioned the feasibility of his designs. Technical setbacks, mechanical failures, misaligned transformers, or unexpected load fluctuations demanded constant vigilance and adaptation. Tesla's approach involved meticulous troubleshooting, adjustments in real time, and further mental simulations to predict and prevent potential problems. Social and financial pressures also tested him. Investors wanted quick returns, industrialists demanded practical reliability, and Edison's supporters continued to undermine AC with public campaigns. Tesla navigated these pressures with a combination of patience, analytical thinking, and strategic communication. His ability to remain focused on the long-term vision rather than short-term criticism allowed him to continue innovating and proving the viability of AC. These challenges emphasized Tesla's resilience. He demonstrated that groundbreaking innovation is rarely accepted without struggle, and that perseverance, combined with rigorous scientific methodology, is essential to overcoming skepticism and achieving lasting impact. 7.10. Legacy and recognition in America. By the early 1890s, Tesla had firmly established himself in America as one of the most influential inventors of the era. AC electricity had become widely adopted, industrial networks thrived, and Tesla's motors powered countless factories. His work laid the foundation for modern electrical grids, transforming urban infrastructure, industrial productivity, and daily life. Tesla's legacy in America extended beyond practical inventions. He inspired a generation of engineers and scientists to think boldly about electricity, energy, and the potential of technology to improve society. Despite ongoing financial and social challenges, Tesla's contributions earned him recognition among peers, industrialists, and eventually the public. His vision for a connected, electrified world foreshadowed the energy systems of the 20th century and beyond, making him not only a technical genius, but also a symbol of innovation, perseverance, and the power of human imagination. The culmination of Tesla's work in America demonstrated that true innovation combines visionary ideas, technical expertise, and the ability to overcome opposition. From humble beginnings as a young immigrant with little more than a letter of introduction, Tesla became a transformative figure whose influence would echo through generations, shaping the modern world in ways he had long envisioned during his earliest experiments and mental simulations.